Hi everybody, this is Kevin with Texas Yardman and More, and today I'm featuring a video on the mesquite bean. These are honey mesquite beans that I harvested from my trees out of my rural property. These beans are probably a couple pounds here, maybe, if that. 2 pounds max. I decided to feature a video on making some like a brew from this, the beans that are inside of these pods. This mesquite bean is a bean that goes way back to the Native Americans. They used to harvest these for making a masa, as well as using it for just to chew on them. You can actually pick one of these up and just bite right into it. There's a sweet flavor to it, and it has a lot of vitamins in it and proteins, and it's supposed to be a superfood. So not sure why it hasn't quite caught on with a lot of people, but you can really do a lot of stuff with this bean. So I'm deciding to make a coffee brew. I'm going to get the beans out of these and I'm going to grind them up after roasting them, and I'm going to make a brew out of them. So I wanted to show you how I'm going to do that. I've rinsed these beans really well with water. And I've got them laid out here on a cookie sheet, and I've got this basket here that's going to allow the heat to go right through the basket and dry these beans out in the oven to get them nice and dry. What you want is, if you pick one of these beans up, it should rattle, kind of like a rattlesnake uses its tail to warn you. You will hear a rattle sound in these, and I can hear it in this one. Hopefully it's picking that up. And that's a good sign. Is when you pick these, you want them to be a brownish color like this, but many of them were, but also some of them that I picked were a little green. So I let these beans sit in my vehicle here in Texas and allow the heat to just dry them out. And it did a really good job. These are nice and golden brown, and they're going to get even more golden brown once I put them in this oven, just to make sure that the heat kind of dries them out, and I mean even further than what they really are, and also it'll make them a little more golden than what they already are. So heat also helps to kill bacteria. I'm going to show you a couple examples over here of some of these pods or beans that got mold on them, and that's what you got to be careful of. You don't want to eat any of these beans that have mold on them. You can see all that mold growing there, and I think that the reason it gets that is moisture, and then there's also the sap that's inside here, the honey sweet flavor. It's like sugars, helps to create a mold environment, and you don't want to eat the ones that are on the ground. You actually want to pick them off the tree itself. The ones on the ground, just leave them. Wildlife will eat them. I don't know if their stomachs can handle it. I think they do, but humans, you don't want to eat any of the beans that have mold on them. So just wanted to show you what my plans are here, and I will bring you in once these are dried out, and we're gonna crush them in the molcajete that's over here. I've got a molcajete. It's basically a pestle and a mortar. And you can use this stone molcajete to crush the beans up. And what you're really after is these beans that are inside there. You can see those beans right there. That's what I'm going to roast, and then I'm going to grind them up in my coffee grinder. So I will show you how that's done once this is finished, and we'll be right back. Alright, and we got our first batch out. My oven was not big enough. It doesn't have 3 trays. And I've got something else in there cooking in the oven as well, but unrelated. But here's what the beans look like when you take them out after being in the oven. They were in there for maybe 10 minutes. I'm running this at about 400 degrees. It actually might be a little too high, but this did the job. It browned them up. And now I'm going to take out the second tray. So we're just going to open this up. And there is the second tray. And those are really hot right now. So did a good job at drying these out. And now I'm going to let it sit for about a day or two before I start to crush them up in the molcajete. And we're going to extract the beans out of this, and we're going to make a nice brew. So I'll be back when we're ready to do that. Grind up the beans here, and I was just going to go ahead and show you. One thing is you can pick these beans up after roasting them in the oven, and you can hear the beans shaking inside there, almost like a rattle. And so you get them nice and crispy like this, and you're going to break them up, and they'll just snap easily. And the reason you're going to break these up is just to make them more manageable. And we got a good pile of beans right here. And inside here you can see these areas. That's where the bean is inside. So just you have multiple beans in one pod. And some rattle more loudly than others. And then we're just going to take the pestle and we're going to mash these up, get them in a more manageable state, and you can hear them cracking. And it's not like the beans are going to mash as easily as the pod. The beans are pretty tough themselves. That's why we have the grinder. And I can smell that nice roasted flavor. I don't even know how to describe it. It's got a smell of its own, more of a natural roasted smell. And we're not going to try to get these to where they're pulverized, but we're just mashing them up to get them in a more manageable state like so. And what I'm going to do is I've got a screen here that I'm going to use to, after I grind these up, I'm going to pour the grinded mixture into this bowl, and I'm going to use the screen to filter out the masa from the bean and the bean stalk, or pod I should say. So we're going to go ahead, and I've got my electric grinder here, and we're just going to pour these in. And we're going to put the cover on the grinder, and you just simply pulse this. And don't worry, it's not all going to be ground up, so you are going to have some solids left over. There we go. So you can see you have the solids up here on top. So now we're going to bring this bowl over here, and we're going to go ahead and pour it into the screen. And we're just simply going to sift it. So we're getting the solids, or the chunkier parts, separated from the masa. So I've got a good mixture going there. You just kind of try not to make a mess, but if you do, no big deal. You can clean it up easily. And what I'm going to do is get another bowl here real quick. And we're going to put the solids in a separate bowl. And you can see all of the masa right there. You got a little extra chunky piece that snuck through. And then keep that separate. Then you just simply repeat the process. And I'm going to show you what to do with the solids. We're actually going to use that for coffee. But if you didn't want to make coffee, you could simply run this through a coffee pot as is. It does have a roasted flavor somewhat, but if you like a darker roast for coffee, then I'm gonna show you how to do that. But you could simply use these right here as is to kind of make a hot tea with. And I had some earlier and it was delicious. So I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that in a later step, but we're gonna grind up some more here. Grind up another batch. And these have such a natural sweet flavors in here. The honey mesquite bean does. So we're just simply gonna repeat the same process until we get enough of these beans to where we can roast them even further. So we'll be right back. All right, here is the result of about 5 or 6 batches that were in the grinder over there. And here is the result with the masa. Got a nice masa here. We're going to use this for energy bars that I'm going to make with this, and we can simply just put it over here with the rest. So there we got a nice amount, and we can make energy bars with this, nice and healthy. And here is the solids, which consist of the actual seeds that were inside, as well as maybe some of the pod material, but kind of looks or resembles oatmeal. Well, it's like oatmeal looking, but that actually is a seed that has been ground up, and this is what remains as the solids. We've been using the sifter, and that's how we were able to come up with the masa. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a nice herbal coffee. And so I'm going to show you how to do that in the next step. Or you could just use this for a hot tea as is, because it's already been roasted a little bit to where it was dried, but now we need to roast it even further to use it as a coffee. And so we're going to go to that step now. Okay, I'm here at my stove, and I've got a nice cooking pan here. It resembles a lot like a Dutch oven material, or like a cast iron pan, but it feels just like it on the inside. So we're going to go ahead and use this. I'm going to turn on the stove, get a nice flame going here, and I'm going to turn it to medium to low, probably more so medium, and we're going to get this pan nice and hot, and we're going to turn this into a nice roasted coffee, almost like a coffee bean. So this is how you can roast your mesquite beans. So I can already feel the heat, so we're going to go ahead and put this in, and we're just going to scatter it all through the pan there. And depending on what kind of roast you like, you can do a light. It's already kind of a light roast because it was done in the oven, but I like mine to be a darker color when it's sifted through the hot water. This, like I said, is good for hot tea, a light roast. But I'm going to make this darker, and so we've got to roast it on the pan here. So I usually shoot for a medium. So we're just going to keep making sure that we move this around in the pan so it doesn't burn. So you just keep stirring, and eventually what's going to happen is these seeds and pod material are going to start to turn a darker color. And that's kind of a similar process in how they do coffee beans. Is they usually lay them out in the sun to let the sun do the cooking and roasting, and then they dry them out, and then they have another process by which they roast the bean with either ovens, or they finish the process by using ovens, or a process like this right here. Now, I've never done homemade coffee or anything like that, but I'm sure you can probably find resources that will show you how coffee is done. But I don't drink coffee anymore. I drank it for 20 plus years, and then my body decided it didn't like coffee anymore. It developed an allergy to it. So I drink herbal coffees now, and this will be nice for me. Like I said earlier, I made some hot tea with the light roasted seeds, and it was very good. Has its own unique flavor to it. You're just going to have to try it for yourself, but if you were to smell these beans, they kind of have a roasted smell, but I don't know if it's hickory or if it's, I've even smelled a little bit of cinnamon, even though it doesn't have cinnamon. You just have to kind of smell it for yourself. They're unique. So we're going to continue to turn this until these get nice and dark, and then we'll take it off the heat. So I'll be back when that's done. Alright, and we're back after the roasting process. Here is the final product. You can see that it's much darker in color, and I'll try to show a bean that we started with. So we went from that color to this darker roasted color, and this is also roasted but not as dark, so you can see the difference. And that is how coffee starts out. Coffee beans are actually tan or green when they pick them, and then they get, you know, the coffee that you get in your store that's all ground up or whole beans is darkened from the roasting process. So that's what we have here, is we have mesquite beans that have been roasted on a pan over open flames. So now what we're going to do is turn it into coffee, like a coffee grind, even though it's not coffee. And we're going to use the same blender or grinder, and we're going to simply just take some of this, and we're going to carefully put it in here. And I made myself a mess, but that's okay. We'll just pick up the pieces here and we'll grind it up. And I'm going to try to get it as fine as possible, just like a coffee ground or coffee grind. And you can see, and I've got another glass container here, and it doesn't matter if there's some chunks in there, because it's the idea is just to get it more finely ground. I'm going to do another grind. There we go. And we're just going to pour that in there. And there we got a nice dark grind. Medium roast, I would call it. It's not super dark. It looks dark in the pan here, but it's... And you just simply, if you like a dark roast, then you would leave it in the pan longer. I don't like a dark roast. I like a medium. So we're just going to grind all of this up, and then we're going to make a cup of coffee, or a cup of mesquite bean coffee. That looks really good. Keep adding to the pile here until we're completely done, and then we'll brew a pot. I'll be right back. And here we are, we're ready to brew ourselves a cup of mesquite bean brew. So I've got my little 4-cup coffee pot here, and got a coffee filter in there, and we're just simply going to take some of this freshly roasted mesquite bean, and we're going to add some to the filter here, maybe 2 giant scoops, and that should be plenty. And it has a real pretty color, it turned out to be. Looks a lot like coffee when it's super ground. And we're going to turn the coffee pot on and let it brew. So when this is ready to go, we will make ourselves a cup. And here we are, a nice fresh brewed pot of roasted mesquite beans. Now we're going to pour ourselves a cup. You can already tell that it's a lot darker just by looking at it through the pot. That's a dark color, just like coffee would look, and we're going to taste it. So this would be an alternative, a healthy alternative to coffee drinking. If you can't handle coffee anymore due to maybe an allergy or something that to that effect, this herbal coffee here, it's different. It's this is right from my land. It's natural, and it has fiber in it, amino acids, calcium, potassium, magnesium, copper, iron, zinc, lysine, no caffeine, and it's gluten-free, and it has amino acids and adaptogens in it. So this would be a good alternative if you can find it. You would have to harvest a bunch of this to stockpile it for throughout the year, because it only grows during the late summer. So you got to harvest those beans when they're there, and you want to make sure that they're being harvested off the tree. So we are going to go ahead and taste it as is. I'm just going to stir it up a little bit, and I'm going to pour some in this glass here just so you can see the color. So there's the color. It's looks like almost to the consistency or darkness of Coca-Cola or regular coffee. So I'm going to go ahead and just sit down here and taste it. It's not that often that you see me in front of the camera, but we're going to taste it. First of all, I'm going to smell it. Smells similar to coffee, actually. Now let me taste it. Oh my goodness. I gotta tell you, it tastes similar to coffee. Not quite coffee, but it tastes a lot like it. And I guess that would be due to the roasting process. So it's probably actually better than coffee. any kind of a herbal drink that's natural is got a lot of health benefits to it. This certainly does, and it does have natural sweetness in it. But if you like it black, you could just drink it just like this, but I usually like mine a little bit sweeter, so I'm going to add a little bit of honey. And this is local honey, and we'll try it that way too. So I'm just going to stir that up. Some people use cream. I'm not going to drink it with cream. I'm just going to try it just like that. I love to taste natural flavors, and you can see definitely gave it some sweetness. Not too much, but just enough. So there's the masa. So I can make some energy bars, or you can make your favorite. You could add raisins, chocolate chips, whatever it is you like. You can cook it up in a similar fashion, except you're using this instead of flour or wheat or whatever it is that you normally make cookies out of. And this is all natural, and I'm going to do that. And what you want to do is just make sure that you put it in these tight containers like this, airtight. I bought these. These are the Joy Jolt containers, and I'm really liking these. These are that locks in all that freshness. And this is the same type of container, and I'm going to lock. I've got the lid over there, and I'll do the same exact thing. But in the meantime, I'm just going to enjoy this cup of coffee. Or I should say, cup of mesquite coffee, and it tastes very similar. So it's really good. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to my channel. It helps me out. I like to do all different kinds of videos. As you can tell, this is a different type of video that I do. I try to keep it like a variety channel, but thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody staying tuned to my channel, and if you want to be notified of any future videos, please hit that notification bell in the upper right hand corner, and you'll be notified of my next video. Once again, Mesquite Coffee, thanks again for watching. Have a great day. God bless.